We've all encountered them. The colleague who dismisses your ideas without consideration. The family member who can never admit they're wrong. The friend who turns every conversation into a lecture. These interactions leave us frustrated, exhausted, and sometimes questioning our own judgment. But what if I told you that the ancient Stoics developed powerful techniques for dealing with exactly these types of people? Techniques that still work perfectly today? I'm Your Name, and in this video we're exploring how Stoic philosophy offers practical wisdom for handling those who always think they're right. Section 1. Understanding the problem. Before we dive into solutions, let's understand what we're dealing with. Psychology tells us that people who always need to be right often struggle with deep-seated insecurities. Their dogmatism is a shield, a way to protect their fragile ego from the possibility of error. As Marcus Aurelius might observe, everything we hear is an opinion, not a fact. Everything we see is a perspective, not the truth. The Stoics recognize that most arguments aren't about finding truth. They're about protecting identities and easing anxieties. Ask yourself, when was the last time you successfully changed someone's mind through argument alone? When did someone change your deeply held belief through pure debate? It rarely happens, and here's why. Backfire effect. When confronted with opposing evidence, people often dig in deeper confirmation bias. We naturally seek information that confirms our existing beliefs. Identity protection, being wrong, threatens our sense of self. The Stoics understood these psychological principles long before modern science confirmed them. That's why their approach to dealing with know-it-alls is so effective. Section 2. The Stoic Approach Practice. 1. Focus on what you control. Epictetus, a former slave who became one of Stoicism's greatest teachers, emphasized, "Some things are within our power while others are not." You cannot control whether someone admits they're wrong. If they respect your viewpoint, their need to be right, you can control your reactions to their behavior. Whether you engage in fruitless arguments, how much emotional energy you invest. This mental shift alone can transform these interactions. Rather than trying to win, focus on maintaining your tranquility. Practice 2. Lead with curiosity, not confrontation. Seneca advised, if you really want to escape the things that harass you, what you're needing is not to be in a different place, but to be a different person. Instead of direct contradiction, try asking genuine questions. Using the phrase, "I'm curious about your thinking on," finding points of agreement before exploring differences. When someone feels heard rather than challenged, defensive walls come down. Practice 3. Remember the impermanence of opinions. Is any man afraid of change? What can take place without change? Marcus Aurelius. All opinions, even those held most firmly, but are temporary. The person so certain today may hold the opposite view years from now. This perspective helps us take disagreements less personally. Section 3. Practical techniques. Let's translate these Stoic principles into practical techniques you can use today. The Socratic method. Instead of making statements, ask questions that guide toward understanding. Example. Know-it-all. This project will never work. We should do it my way instead. Stoic response. I'm interested in your perspective. What specific aspects concern you the most? What experiences have shaped your view on this? The partial agreement. Find something, anything, you can genuinely agree with. Example. Know-it-all. Everyone who believes X is completely uninformed. Stoic response. I appreciate your passion on this topic. I agree that I've been thinking about another angle as well. The perspective shift invite them to temporarily try on a different viewpoint. The Rarest Female on Earth intro, 00 to 030. Host, looking directly at camera. What if I told you there's a female so rare that scientists spent decades just trying to confirm she exists? A creature so elusive that finding her was like searching for a needle in an ocean? Host, today we're exploring the story of the rarest female on Earth. and the desperate race against time to save her entire species from extinction. Hook 030 to 100. Host, walking through natural setting. Meet Anjin, one of the last two northern white rhinos left on our planet. Footage of Anjin grazing. Host, in the wild, these magnificent creatures once roamed across Central Africa by the thousands. Today, just two females remain. No males, no babies being born, an entire species balanced on the edge of oblivion. Host turns to camera. But this isn't just another sad conservation story. This is about the extraordinary lengths humans will go to fix what we've broken, and the groundbreaking science that might just rewrite the rules of extinction. Background 1 to 3. Host. The northern white rhino was once a thriving species across Uganda, South Sudan, the Democratic Republic of Congo, and Chad. These gentle giants could weigh up to 7,700 pounds. That's about the same as 3 small cars. Host. But by the 1970s, poaching and civil unrest had decimated their population. Rhino horn, pound for pound more valuable than gold, became the target of relentless hunting. Footage of anti-poaching teams. Host. By 2008, scientists concluded that northern white rhinos were likely extinct in the wild. The only hope rested with a small group living in zoos and sanctuaries. Transition to footage of Old Paheda Conservancy in Kenya. Host. That brings us to today. Anjin and her daughter Fatu are the last two northern white rhinos on Earth, living under 24-hour armed guard at the Old Paheda Conservancy in Kenya. Close-up footage of Anjin and Fatu. Host. Anjin is now in her 30s, elderly for a rhino. Her daughter Fatu is younger, but neither can carry a pregnancy due to various health issues. When they die, their subspecies will be gone forever. Or will it? The rescue mission, 3 to 5:30. Host, standing beside scientific equipment. This is where our story takes an incredible turn. Meet the international team of scientists who refuse to let the northern white rhino disappear. Host, before the last male Sudan died in 2018, researchers collected and froze his sperm. They've also gathered genetic material from other deceased northern white rhinos. Animation showing IVF process. Host, the plan? Create northern white rhino embryos in the lab, then implant them into southern white rhino surrogates, a closely related subspecies with plenty of healthy females. Interview clip with lead scientist. Scientist, what we're attempting has never been done before. We're not just trying to save individuals. We're trying to bring back an entire subspecies from the brink using cutting-edge reproductive technology. Host, and incredibly, it's working. In 2019, scientists announced they had created viable northern white rhino embryos in the lab. A world first. The challenges, 5:30 to 7:30. Host, walking through conservation area. But the path forward is filled with obstacles. Host, the reproductive technology is expensive and unproven in rhinos. Each IVF attempt costs hundreds of thousands of dollars. The embryo transfer procedure itself is incredibly difficult, requiring specialized equipment to work with animals weighing several tons. Host, and all the while Noggin and Fatu must be protected. Their horn would be worth more than $500,000 on the black market. That's why they live under constant armed guard. Host, time is also running out. Every day that passes is another day closer to losing these last living representatives of their kind. And with them, crucial knowledge about northern white rhino behavior and biology that can never be replaced. The Hope, 7:30 to 9. Host, sitting near rhinos at sunset. But there is hope. In 2021, researchers reported they had successfully created 12 viable northern white rhino embryos. Host, southern white rhino surrogates have been selected and prepared. If successful, we could see the first northern white rhino calf born this way within the next few years. Imagery of diverse scientific team. Host, This international effort represents something profound about humanity. The same species that drove these animals to the brink is now utilizing our most advanced scientific knowledge to bring them back. Conclusion 9 to 10. Host, looking directly at camera. Najin, the subject of our story, truly is the rarest female on Earth. Her existence hangs by a thread, but that thread is being reinforced by some of the brightest scientific minds on the planet. Montage of rhino conservation efforts and successes with other species. Host. The northern white rhino story reminds us of what we stand to lose when species disappear, and what we might still save if we act now for the countless other endangered species around the world. Host. Walking away from camera, then turning back. The rarest female on Earth might not be the last of her kind after all, and that gives us hope for all the other endangered wonders we share this planet with. Final shot of Najin and Fatu in the sunset. Host, voiceover. If you want to help conservation efforts for rhinos and other endangered species, check out the links in the description. And if you found this story as remarkable as I did, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss our next exploration of Earth's most incredible creatures.